Well, listening to Admiral Rob Burr from NATO is Dr. Paul Dorfman, Associate Fellow in the Science Policy Research Unit at the University of Sussex and Chair of the Nuclear Consulting Group. Very good to see you there, sir. Can I ask you what your assessment is? It's very hard. We're getting totally different reports from Russia and Ukraine, of course, about the status of the power plant. Are you as worried as the Ukrainians seem to be about the possibility of an attack there?
It's a hugely worrying situation, and it's more worrying now than it was a year ago when there was sort of a significant discussion around this issue. The Ukrainians are saying one thing, the Russians are saying another. The IAEA is saying that they haven't seen the explosives in the Zaporizhzhia plant. But as you say, Ukrainian intelligence says otherwise. It's a deeply, deeply concerning situation.
We all, of course, remember Chernobyl. If the cooling system was eradicated, or if the actual reactors were attacked, would it be something of that scale?
It's unlikely to be on the scale of Chernobyl because Chernobyl is was a graphite moderated reactor, and the nature of the pollution means that it was blown high into the air and could travel very far. Now, if something went wrong in Zaporizhzhia, whether the reactors or the high-level radiation spent fuel ponds, the waste stores, basically, it would be incredibly significant. It wouldn't be as significant necessarily as Chernobyl, but it would be incredibly significant for the region, for Ukraine, for Russia potentially, and for Eastern Europe.
We're getting reports, and you can never believe what you read initially, that the Russians have been moving troops away from the nuclear plant, perhaps in preparation for something happening. Would there be any logic at all, defence-wise, for them to create a kind of radioactive barrier in front of the Ukrainian forces?
I'm not a military strategist. I'm a radiation protection guy. What really sort of brings to mind here is that we are really in a hugely difficult situation with a very significant risk. Now, the point about this, it has sort of a deeper resonance insofar as that in an increasingly unstable world, the notion of nuclear, new nuclear, old nuclear, is looking increasingly problematic. Now, this issue hasn't been rehearsed before, even by the IAEA, who have largely not really looked at this issue. And in the past, I and many others haven't been discussing this issue because for fear of putting ideas into people's minds. But I think the key lesson for this, if we get through this, is that within an increasingly unstable world, nuclear has very significant safety and security implications.
And what kind of level of radiation would we be looking at if the worst happened to Zaporizhzhia? How big would the problem be?
I've worked with colleagues on this issue in terms of what are the likely points that both the reactor, the plant, and the spent fuel ponds, what are the vulnerabilities there, and what are the consequences? What we have here is the largest nuclear power plant in Europe, 6 nuclear power plant already in cold shutdown, so the risks are diminished, but with all of that inventory and with a very significant spent fuel inventory. So the spent fuel is a hugely worrying,
a very dangerous prospect indeed, Dr. Dorfman. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for talking to me. Now,